morning, everybody, and welcome to our podcast today. We want to talk about why not home, why not today, and our hashtag is there's no place like home. So my name's Siobhan Ebden, and I'm a community nurse fellow working with my colleague Sarah.
Morning, everyone. It's great to have you with us today. As Siobhan just said, my name's Sarah Brownlow, and I'm a community nurse fellow working with NHS England. Just a little bit of background, really. We've been helping systems over the last year whilst we've been doing our fellowship role, developing their discharge processes, especially thinking about the role that community plays. We're both from a community background, and we wanted just to have a conversation about home first, or as we like to call it, there's no place like home. We know that Dorothy got it right in The Wizard of Oz, and there really is no place like home. So actually, it's just to help staff, predominantly in a hospital environment, just to work with community colleagues, support their patients to get home quickly and safely.
So all of the things we'll be talking about today can be found in more depth in the Home First training, and we'll give you a link at the end to the Home First training. All these elements have also been discussed with patient groups, so we know these are also from a patient's perspective what's really important to them and will help us all to deliver personalised care.
So Siobhan, how do nurses and staff in hospitals support patients to maintain their independence whilst they're still inpatients, whilst they're still on the ward? What can they do?
So for patients, it's really important that they're able to maintain their independence while they're inpatient. So if many of our patients have to come into hospital, but they've already got long-term conditions that they've been managing really well at home. So things like people who have to inject themselves with insulin, the last thing we really should be doing when they go into hospital, if at all possible, is taking that skill away from them. Obviously, sometimes patients are too poorly to do that for themselves, but as soon as they can, we should be reinforcing that they can manage their long-term condition. So, and we need our patients then to understand, there are sort of 4 key questions really. What's my main problem? What do I need to do? Why is it important that I do that? And what matters to me? What is important to me? And I think if we're asking those types of questions and encouraging our patients to ask those types of questions of themselves and providing those answers between us, then we really are promoting personalised self-care and independence.
Absolutely. And actually, some of it's about just getting out of bed every day. I mean, many years ago, I'm sure we all remember the end PJ paralysis, but, and sometimes it's just about ensuring, encouraging our patients to get out of bed, going to the bathroom to have a wash rather than having a bowl brought to the side of the bed. And I think with all our patients, we can probably encourage a little bit more independence, can't we?
We certainly can. What about the relationships with other people, Sarah? Why is that important to our patients, the people we care for?
Well, I think some of the work that we've done over the last year, some of the conversations that we've had, the thing is, time is really precious to us all. And whether you're a patient and you're perhaps increasingly heading towards the end of your life, then it's really, really crucial is the time that you have. And we don't want patients to be spending too much time in our hospital bases, but actually time's crucial for our staff as well. And we don't want to be wasting precious time duplicating things, chasing around. So actually, it's really important that we are keeping existing care providers informed, ringing the care agencies up, having conversations about what's the patient normally like at home, and actually having those conversations, because when it does come to your patient leaving hospital, then when you've had those conversations already, then it's really quick to reactivate care packages. And there might be some concerns around information governance and how much information you can share. But actually, if you have the right consent in place, then that can be fairly easily overcome. And then thinking about our community colleagues, have you got a district nurse involved or a physiotherapist in community? Are they involved with the patient that you've got on the ward? They're really key information holders. They can tell you an awful lot of information about a patient, but it's really important to keep the carers and the community staff involved right from the beginning. And this is reinforced within the Home First care packages, because actually, if we can start to understand what the district nurse, for example, provides at home, then it's usually easier for us when we're planning to discharge the patient as well. And if we've got those key conversations already going, those key people to talk to, then it's a lot easier to make those discharges in the first place. So Siobhan, if we're keeping key people informed, how do we build that into our daily ward routines, do you think?
Well, we know that hospital isn't always the best place for someone once they no longer need medical input, and we're always keen to get our patients to home. So each day there should be a multidisciplinary assessment, a board round with the doctors, the nurses, the therapists to see whether a patient still needs to be in hospital, meets the criteria to reside, or are there better options for that person. Sometimes we keep hold of people a little bit too long because we don't really understand what home is and what's normal for each person. We know there are lots of people who could continue their recovery at home with the right support, whether that's personal or technological. So if you know, for example, if Alice has come into hospital and she spent the last 5 years walking around with furniture, then that is her normal. So as long as she can walk around with furniture, she's perfectly safe to go home.
Absolutely, and I think sometimes it's thinking about what tests, if somebody needs further tests, could they be done as an outpatient, and thinking differently about what that patient is waiting for and what their care needs are. And I think as well, Siobhan, I think some of it is about taking advantage of the procedures that people have within organisations to coordinate services. It might be that you have a discharge team, any number of any manner of different services. It might be that you can make use of things like virtual ward, which we'll touch on again later on, but our palliative care pathways, or even some, using technological methods of monitoring. And some areas have home IV services as well.
And we also need to think about people's cultural needs and preferences. In many of our communities, families are already set up to care for members of the family, and our role there is to support with the aid of technology, telephone support and community links. A person's own situation might not need a comprehensive social care package if they've got good family and community support. The key is to find out what each person needs, what matters to the individual, and have we discussed it with the family. And that's where
absolutely.
Is that where the role of the trusted assessors links in, Sarah?
Yeah, and that can link in there, and we can talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes as well, because actually it's crucial, isn't it, that what matters to the patient, and having conversations with families and carers as well. And going back to that idea of looking at other areas, there might be different service options available locally, where there might be a better alternative than staying in a hospital bed for patients, using those early discharge systems and virtual wards. And I think it's really crucial, and it's difficult as well, but I think it's really crucial that everybody involved in discharge, whether that's our community colleagues or our colleagues within the hospital environment, know what's available in the area. And know how to refer the patient. And actually, if people don't know what's available, don't know what's out there outside that hospital, then it's really important that actually somebody finds that information out, and it's easy to access, so that when we are looking at alternatives, we think differently to just that patient being in that hospital bed.
Exactly. So that's where we need to really work in partnership with our patients, so that we're valuing their time, we're valuing our time and everybody's time, which is the currency that we have, isn't it? The time that we invest and share with one another. And to do that, to make sure our work is personalised as possible, we really need to be focusing on those 4 questions with our patient, the people we're looking after. Encourage them to think and talk about what is wrong with me, what's going to happen next, what can I do to help myself get better, and when am I likely to go home. I think if we can encourage people to be focusing on those, we'll have a much better patient journey for everybody.
Absolutely. It's very much about valuing people's time, isn't it? The workforce time and also the patient's time. It's a currency, and actually we need to value that. This has been really great conversation, Siobhan. Can I just ask you to repeat those questions again? Because I think they're really, really important questions that we can help our patients to understand their own journeys.
Certainly. And it's all there in the Home First training, of course. So the 4 questions are: what is wrong with me? What is going to happen next? What can I do to help myself get better? And when am I likely to go home?
And I think it's really useful that as healthcare staff, we introduce those questions to our patients, but also we answer those questions for our patients as well. And there's also the website. What you need to go on to is if you Google Home First Act Now, it will come up, and you can do that training. And that's some of the information that we've used on today's podcast. It's been fantastic talking with you, and we hope that you'll tune in for our second episode as well. Thanks so much for everybody. See you later. Bye.
Bye.